I mean, it's open, but I didn't remember this door, only that door. So, but it's not well lit. And I have my flashlight out. I really didn't have to.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Tuesday, January 17th, 2023 council meeting. If everyone would please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first item on the agenda is public comments. So we'll jump right into that. Just remember to give us your name and your address when you approach the podium, please. First up is Ms. Kay Wood.
Is this on or? Okay. Kay Wood, 8040 Windjammer Drive. Mayor and council members, I have lived here for 26 years and have never been driven or compelled to speak to council until tonight. I'm a little familiar with the workings of council as my late husband, Les Connor, served on council from 2005 to 2010, 2 of those years as mayor pro tem. If you didn't know Les, I can tell you that he was one of the most diligent and community-minded people I've ever known. He served on many boards throughout the county and was highly regarded. So much so that the head of the Republican Party asked him to run for the State House position that was held by Ralph Norman before he went to Congress. When Les declined, Ralph Norman was asked. So Les was my example of what a council person should aspire to. I appreciate all of you serving on council, and I know it's not an easy job. Now as to why I'm here, and the reason, I'm sorry to say, is you guys. First, I have never in all these 26 years witnessed a council person call out a private citizen at a council meeting. That was one of the most unprofessional and uncouth things I have ever witnessed, and it made me really mad. I know that Christoph was looking into why we only had one bid for garbage collection and why this new contract nearly doubled what each citizen would have to pay each month. Many of us were concerned about that, and rightly so. I'm not aware of all the Facebook posts that were generated by Christoph, but if you had an issue with that, you should have addressed it with Christoph. If Christoph misspoke, your public comments about him served as an example of two wrongs not making a right. I have known Charlie for many years and consider him a friend. Yet he and all of you know that none of you are above reproach or scrutiny, and as citizens we have the right and duty to investigate what we believe may be a wrong. Also, you indicated that Christoph apologized to council when in fact he did not. That was not true. I have a copy of that email, and it was Charlie to whom Christoph apologized. You would do well to make your public statements, make sure they are true if you wish to remain credible. This was an error in judgment, so please just stop. Second, this term of Tiga Karens is a derogatory, condescending, and belittling phrase used to try to bully people into compliance for the way you think they should act. I'm sorry, Mayor, if this was your phrase, but it has turned into a weapon that should never be used against TKK citizens. The public comments section of council meetings are for citizens to say what they feel like they need to say without being bullied. So please just stop. Third, I'm not sure what the diatribe was about with Maxine Waters, Trump, and Norman. That was just really weird. And speaking of Ralph Norman and your comment that we all have to agree that he loves TKK, I can agree he loves half of TKK. He tried to convince Les to have partisan elections way back then. Les said absolutely not. It would only serve to tear this city apart. I guess Ralph got what he wanted after all. In conclusion, Gus, I give you your words back to you. Please just stop. And for the sake of all TKK, please do better. Thank you.
Thank you. Ruthie Smith.
Hello, I'm Ruthie Smith. I live at 8039 Windjammer. I'm her next door neighbor for 22 years. And I am up here just on the spur of the moment without my notes, but I wasn't able to attend the last meeting, and I really want to stay on top of the Windjammer concerns that have been going on for many, many years, the traffic, the safety. Can't even walk down Windjammer, you can't walk your dogs, and we're off season. It's freezing now, but I'm out every single day. There's still a lot of people going down, and I would like to have it. We would like to see more patrolling, especially on beautiful sunny days, just to slow people down, and also to consider speed, not speed bumps, but just the smaller, what do they call them, the humps? Yeah, on certain parts of Windjammer, because when you start to descend and go down towards my house and the Zeemers, and gets real curvy, and Christoph, it's very, very dangerous. And my kids are grown, but Christoph's are not. And we deserve to be able to walk outside our homes and just walk. We're not even trying to play in the road, we're just walking. So that's my number one concern. And then also the deer. I would like to have an update on that. I feel like if I don't get on social media, and I'm not on social media a lot, I travel for my job, but I try to keep up with it without getting in the weeds. I would like to have updates on where we are with the deer, because I have done some studying, a lot of us have, and we really don't want our tax dollars going towards shooting the deer. It's not humane. We don't want that in TKK. We do need a solution to protect the people and control the population of the deer without shooting them, please. So if you guys can talk to us about, do you want a deer committee so we can, kind of form a committee and I said round table last time too many times, but talk about what we've done behind the scenes, who we've contacted, some solutions that we have to control the population of the deer. So if you can help us with that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Heather Jones.
Good evening, Heather Jones, 2109 Bonvilla Way. I just wanted to come to follow up from the last meeting. I noticed that in the meeting agenda, which was released early, and I wanted to first give thanks for that with the PDFs that were included so that we could review the reading for the first reading that's now being second first reading of the Parks and Rec ordinance. I just wanted to say first, thank you for getting that out so that the citizens had access to that with time to read and review it. My days are crazy with two small children, so it gave me ample time to actually sit down and pick through it. I appreciate seeing that it looks like it underwent some pretty significant revisions, and just wanted to encourage council that we look forward to hearing some more discussion and explanations about why those changes were made, and also an update on where we stand with regards to coming into compliance regarding handling the open carry or gun restrictions related to special permits as they're issued. So again, thank you for making sure that was put out. Look forward to seeing the process proceed and further discussion on that. Thanks.
Thank you. Drew Wilson.
Hey, good evening, Council. Drew Wilson, 653 Xenia Way. I want to give you guys an update, and also whoever's here, with the manors and the fact that the land that was purchased, that was an issue that we've discussed for the potential annexation, that the builder has put up barbed wire fences on the whole perimeter, so that's fine. And I appreciate all the communications. And I know there's been a lot of back and forth, and everybody gets annoyed with a lot of communications, but I appreciate it. And I just want to say too that I really do appreciate all the communications that all of you have had with this topic and everything else. And I just wanted to make that comment that for the manors now, it's just a sit and wait to see what happens. They've already started making a road from the Baxter side into the development, and that's their problem versus a problem that we would have to contend with. And we'll just wait and see if at some point in time he wants to try to come back through TKK. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay. And that concludes our public comment section. Okay, next we have the approval of minutes. Does anyone have any additions, subtractions, comments, deletions? Okay, well, I would like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'd like to approve the minutes from last month's council meeting.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
He chimed in, he was there.
5.
Good job on that,
unanimous.
Ryan.
Way to go, Ryan, thank you.
You betcha. I tried to delay it for 1 second so you guys could hear.
Thanks, Ryan.
Expected Ryan to second it.
Okay. With that, we have our committee reports is next up. So, Councilman Machunas, if you would please take it away for our Economic Development Committee.
Won't be a whole lot to say here. The EDC did not meet just due to the holidays. Their next meeting will be on Monday, January the 30th, in which case they will be electing a new chair, as our chair moved out of TKK. Why would anybody move out of TKK? But he did move out of TKK and had to therefore resign his position. So they will be electing a new chair at that time. That's it. That's January 30th, if anybody would like to come.
Thank you, sir. Planning Commission, Councilman Shirley.
I was out of town when we had our planning commission, so I do not have an update for you.
There you go. TK Forever / Park and Rec Ad Hoc Committee. Mayor Pro Tem Heisler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. TK Forever, we did meet. They're looking into having another comedy show in the spring. It's in preliminary planning right now. We'll have more information hopefully next month. And there are additional items for sale on Zazzle.com with the TK Forever logo. And many more will be coming up as they add them here in the next couple months. The Ad Hoc Parks and Rec Committee also met, and they approved the survey that will be going out to all the residents for input on needs and wants for the future of TKK as far as Parks and Rec goes. So should be out by the end of this month, and we'll broadcast that far and wide. And please respond and give us your input. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, well, I'm going to give my input real quick. I would like to see the first T-shirts that we had for TK. I know we got the red, white, and blue, but I'm talking about go back to the original orange, the triple W orange. I really want to see that. That would be great. Just me. But
Is that Clemson orange, Charlie? Got a big thumbs down behind you.
May I interrupt these proceedings for a moment?
as to, we're already in session and we've already done our public comments.
Excuse me if I can address the council. I spent some time preparing for the meeting tonight. I hadn't been here before. We drove all around trying to find this place. And if you would make an exception for me, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, hold on just one second. Gentlemen? Any objection? Do we have a procedure?
Do we have to make a motion?
Yeah, make a motion in a second, get a vote to reopen public comments before you go to your next agenda item.
Okay. So I'd like to entertain a motion to go back to public comments.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'd like to make a motion to go back to public comments to allow this gentleman to speak.
Second.
You got a first and a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Please proceed. If you would, please state your name and your address.
Yes, my name is John Lomenzo. I live at 1439 Liberty Road Drive in TGK in the Cadence Development. This won't really take very long. I did some research to see whether the city of TGK has a poop and scoop ordinance. Much to my surprise, when I called the city this afternoon and spoke with a person in a position of authority whose name will remain anonymous for tonight's proceeding, I was told that they didn't think there was such an ordinance. So I'm a retired judge and a lawyer from Rochester, New York. I'm happy to say my wife and I have been down here for 2.5 years, and we're very happy to be here. And when we look at the weather occasionally to see what's going on in Rochester, we can laugh now instead of crying. Anyway, I did some research, and it's a very simple thing. I've got documents that I'd like to pass to the members of the council. It consists of two things. One are screenshots from a Google search that take you to the TGK city website and then to the York County website. The last page contains a summary of the law that's extracted from the two websites. The bottom line, based on the summary, is that TGK indeed does have what's called a poop and scoop law, specifically under section 5516 entitled Public Nuisance Animals. That's 5516 of the York County ordinance, which was incorporated in its entirety by the section 6.1 of the TGK Code of Ordinances. So the point is that we do have such a law. It indicates under the penalty phase, there's substantial penalty for this if a court were to impose the maximum penalty, which I find hard to imagine. But the maximum penalty is conviction of a misdemeanor, $500 fine, and 30 days in jail. I don't think that's ever going to happen, but the point is, and the reason I'm mentioning this is, I wanted the council to be aware that this ordinance exists, despite what I was suggested this afternoon. And secondly, I'm going to bring this to the attention of the homeowners association where I live. The idea being that we suspect that neighbors from another development are bringing their dogs over and doing their thing all over our lawns without picking the stuff up. And my thought was, if my homeowners association agrees, we would approach the city with the idea of having an enforcement officer, maybe post a few notices about the ordinance and what the potential penalties are, so that might discourage people from, doing what we suspect is going on. I think that might be a reasonable step to try to get a handle on the thing. Otherwise, it's somebody from our neighborhood chasing somebody around and following where they live and all that nonsense. So we hopefully can avoid that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Go back.
No, you just go right back.
Okay. Okay. So our next item on the agenda is the first reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 38 of the city's Code of Ordinances as it relates to park and recreation. The previous amendment to Chapter 38 was tabled at the second reading in December. Staff has revisited the amendment and made changes that require the amendment to go back to the new first read. The changes were centered around the special event permit process. In just a moment, I'm going to invite Chief Crosby up to discuss those changes. There were a number of comments regarding the removal of the ban of firearms in general from the public parks. The prohibition language was a carryover from an ordinance 328 that was adopted by previous council in March of 2008. State law was amended in 2021 to further clarify where firearms could be legally carried by a permit holder. This new amendment and the city's actions going forward are in compliance with state law. Before entertaining a motion, I would ask for Chief Crosby to come forward and review the section of the proposed amendment on the special events. Thank you, Chief Crosby.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for the opportunity to share this information with you and hopefully give you some additional insight before you take your vote about where we came from to where we're at now. For your knowledge, many of you know this, but also for those that may be watching or here tonight, I've been in law enforcement for approximately 25 years now. Probably 15 of those years have been involved in planning and organizing special events. I've organized events from arts and craft shows in the local park, all the way up to the Carolina Country Music Festival where we hosted 40,000 people a day. So I have a vast knowledge of planning and organizing special events, which I'm really proud of. So I'm going to share some of my knowledge with you tonight. When we started looking at this ordinance, and the purpose and the intent of this ordinance is very critical. The purpose is to ensure that we have a consistent process in evaluating special events. We all know, we've watched the Facebook posts, we've watched the comments from the citizens. We all love to get together for the 4th of July. We all love to get together for a Catawba Fest when we have our neighborhoods get-togethers. But we need to make sure that we have a consistent evaluation purpose for special event, especially since we're having now Catawba Park. There's an event lawn there. We're going to get a lot more requests. And the intent of this ordinance is to give staff a communication line between us and the organizer so that we can help the organizer to have a safe and special event. I'll give you an example. A couple of months ago, well, let me take you back to last year. We had a community here in TKK that had an oyster roast. And in the middle of their oyster roast, they had cars everywhere. Road was blocked, driveways were blocked, they had bands, but it was a great community event. Unfortunately, due to the blockage of the roadway, due to the amount of cars, the amount of people, police had to be called, and the organizer had to stop the party, go find the people that owned the cars, and ask them to move the cars so that way those cars were not being towed during the middle of their event. This year, thankfully, the organizer made connections with us prior to the event happening. We helped that organizer develop a parking plan, which consisted of parking in the areas around the event site. We blocked off the roadway for them. We got the park reserved for them so they could park in the park and get a shuttle to their event site. They had a great event, and they're already planning for next year. So that's an example of what the intent of this ordinance is to open that communication line so staff can help those organizers plan, but we as staff can also have the resources on hand to make sure that that event is safe and everybody has what they need for the event. So I'm going to talk specifically about what's the language of the ordinance. And I'm going to specifically speak to the piece, if you would, in section 4, number 2. And it's critical that we keep in mind that when we're looking at a special event, the key language in this ordinance is we're looking at what impact does it have on the city. We are not proposing and we're not asking for this government or the police department to be restricting special events. We want to work with the community to make sure they have a good event. By doing so, we're looking at how does this event impact the community. A lot of times, you have a special event, you'll have a get-together, neighbors get upset about the music. If we can stop that beforehand and be proactive instead of reactive, we all serve better, okay? So as we're looking at this, we're looking at how does this special event impact the city and the residents, and that will determine what the special event process is, or if it is a special event. The event organizer will fill out an application. That application will then come into the city to all department heads where we have the opportunity to review it to see how is it going to impact the city and then what resources do we need to make sure that it's a safe event. We then make our recommendations to the city manager, at which time he can then issue a special events permit. We started issuing these permits this year for our concert series to make sure that we all were on the same page as to what's happening. This year we made some changes to the concerts. We had some parking issues and things like that we had to adjust and address. And so we wanted to make sure that we had enough resources from fire, resources from police, public works, and so on, that we could address those issues. And we were all operating on the same page. Chief Hastings and I comes from a background where we use what we call ICS forms. This instant command system is to make sure that we have the command structure in place to address everything. That's the purpose and intent of this ordinance, is to make sure that we have that in place for a safe event. Now, there's been a lot of talk about firearms and other restrictions being placed on events. We're not here to place those restrictions unless we're allowed to by law. What I mean by that is law is very specific about when a firearm can be restricted inside a park, and state law says that if an event is a permitted event, then the municipality can restrict those firearms. We have to then, though, make sure we have the proper signage, the proper notifications, which if you all saw our verbiage for Catawba Fest, for the concerts, we've been utilizing that because we want to make sure our citizens are aware of that. But case law is very specific. The Attorney General has issued opinions about when you can restrict those firearms in a park. And the purpose of this ordinance is to get us in compliance with that and make sure that we're abiding by what those state laws are, what those Attorney General opinions are, and what the Constitution says. Any questions?
And Chief, if nobody else has any objections, while you're up there, if, not to waste your time, if you would like to go ahead and walk us through the patrol car?
Sure.
Okay, all right. Well, that's next on the agenda, so, okay, we'll get to that in just a minute.
Sure.
I
No
appreciate the
question,
information.
Chief, but commendable the time that you've put into this and with staff. I know that that's not a small task for you and all of our emergency services to come up with the solutions that you do, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I just want to say, people asking for us to discuss this, have more transparency. So staff, city, Charlie, Bob, chief, I don't know who else, I'm sure many more people were involved in putting this language together. We had individual meetings, the council members did, went through this in great detail, and in what Chief just told you, expound upon that about 10 times. That's what we got to make sure we understood what was in this ordinance, because is the last time we went through this, and then the comments the second time about the firearms, that was a big concern, and our concern was not only firearms being in compliance with state law. And so, we took this serious, and staff did a great job, and I hope everyone got a chance to read this, and I think we're going to be in a good spot.
Okay. All right. In that, do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor and members of council, I'd like to make a motion to approve the first reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 38 of the city's Code of Ordinances as it relates to parks and recreation.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
For folks that are wondering where that voice is coming from, that's Ryan Richard. He's in the meeting remotely.
Okay, our next item on the agenda is a consideration of acquisition of replacement patrol cars for the police department. During the budget process, it was identified that the police department needed to acquire 4 new patrol vehicles this year to replace 4 patrol vehicles that are older and requiring a lot of maintenance. Typically, council has done this in the past by approving a 4-year lease purchase agreement. It has been a priority of this council to avoid taking on new debt when possible and working towards paying down debt when we can. The proposal from staff to council tonight is to cash fund the purchase instead of taking out a loan, which would save us approximately $10,000 over the life of the proposed loan. While doing this would require us to spend approximately $218,000 from the city reserve funds, the net cash that this would cost us would be approximately $132,322 due to cash coming back to the city on the sale of the older assets and insurance recovery funds for 2 patrol cars and their equipment. Chief, would you like to comment on this?
Yes, sir. So as you know, we are currently driving Ford Explorers, and as many of you have experienced, if you go to buy a personal car, inventory on vehicles are very limited, and also the cost of those vehicles have increased. The Ford Explorer has now increased from about $38,000 to an increase of about $44,000, which puts it about right in line with what Tahoes are selling for right now. We had the opportunity through some contacts through Major Patterson and Captain Holland that they were called and used some of their contacts that we have the opportunity to get 4 Tahoes right now. By allowing us to do that, we saved the citizens and the taxpayers approximately about $4,000 per car. If we wait and move on this once our order is fulfilled, then we will be paying the $44,000 instead of these vehicles are costing us about $38,000. In addition to that, we've also, to try to help eliminate some of this cost, some of our old cars that needed to come offline, we sold those at an auction. That money has come back into the general fund to help with that cost. And then also some of the equipment that was in that car, we're also selling that to also put towards these funds so we can move forward for these vehicles.
And Chief, just for clarity, with these vehicles, a lot of the equipment that we have in them does not fit in the Tahoes.
Correct. And as the vehicle model changes itself, let's say Ford makes an adjustment to the interior, then the cage may not fit from one year to the next. We've been fortunate that it has, but the new cages and some of the new things will not fit in the new Tahoes. Now, what we're trying to do is to save some costs there as well. Some of the vehicles will not have cages in them because they will be for the sergeants and administrative vehicles. But again, that's to save costs that we're not incurring.
Yep. And we're still saving money.
Still saving money.
We like that.
So of the 4 new units we're considering, those are to replace 2 aged units and 2 totaled units, right?
Well, yes, sir. 2 of them got totaled, unfortunately, in car accidents.
Right.
So we have 1 replacement for those, then these 3 coming in. So we're not asking for anything additional than what we've already asked for through the budget process.
Right. That's what I was getting at.
Yes,
yeah.
sir. This is just a request on us to go ahead and move forward now so we can save that money and not pay the $44,000 instead of paying
Got it.
$37,000.
Good use of the funds, too.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. As always, great job. Gentlemen, we have any more discussion on this?
I just want to say I'm excited that we can actually cash fund this and not take a
Yeah.
loan.
Amen.
Being in a good spot is always good.
Absolutely. In that, do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor and Council, I'd like to make a motion to approve the acquisition of replacement patrol cars for Police Department in an amount not to exceed $218,000 utilizing city reserve funds if needed.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. That will bring us to our city manager's report. Take it away, Mr. Funderburk, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Just real briefly, on Thursday and Friday of this week, I will be out of town at the City Managers Association Winter Conference. I will be available via text or email should you need me during that time. On Friday, January 27th, I will be doing our annual retreat with department heads. So department heads will be out of the office during that day, but we'll all be still local. So we're excited about that retreat as it is the day before our workshop with council on the 28th. We're looking forward to having those discussions about expectations and directions as we move forward. And I'm very excited about both of those 2 days. So looking forward to spending that time with staff and with council there. We are expecting our second leaf truck back in the next week or so, but I am happy to report that we are on schedule and the worst is behind us. Being told that we're able to make it around the entire city in 1 week with the one that we have. The one that we are operating right now is our newer one, and we hope to get the older one back probably right about the time we're done picking up leaves, but we're looking forward to getting that one back. Our registration numbers are for youth sports are through the roof once again. Council, I know some of y'all got pinged early on by some residents regarding our soccer program. As of this morning, there's 850 kids signed up in soccer. There's 972 kids signed up for baseball, softball, flag football combined. So we're sitting at about 1,822 kids signed up. Got about 3 weeks remaining in that registration. So anybody that's playing along at home, get signed up. Get signed up soon. Last spring, just in comparison, we registered just over 2,000 kids. So we feel pretty confident we're going to surpass that number as we finish up registration. So hats off to our Parks and Rec staff and getting that running. And we look forward to having all the kiddos out participating again once the weather warms up just a little bit for us. Lastly, I want to thank Chief Crosby, Captain Holland, Corporal Timms for working on Christmas Day to clean up PD from a busted water line that flooded portions of the station very early Christmas morning. I know obviously everybody's aware of what happened at the Glennon Center later on that day, but that day started at 4:30 in the morning with a busted line down at PD. Happy to report that minimal damage there. We're in good shape. I also want to thank Chief Hasty and the members of the fire department, along with Jeremy Hutchison, Fred Wiley, Matt Kelly, Butch Spears, LT Singletary, and Tony Arnett from our Public Works Department for taking several hours out of their Christmas holiday to help with the busted pipe here at the Glennon Center. Their selfless action speaks to the culture we're creating with our organization. They should all be commended for being up here and doing what they're doing. So the construction activities are about to get started. Some have already gotten started. There's going to be much more over the coming weeks with carpet and drywall and paint and things like that. But we're fortunate. It could have been much, much worse. So, but again, thank you to those staff people for taking time out of their holidays to be up here. And Joey and myself came up, and it was later on in the day on Christmas Day, and to see all those folks working together to try to get the mess cleaned up and keep it to as minimal as possible. Really, really cool to see. So, Mayor, that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Funderburk. And that will bring us to council comments. And as always, I would like to extend the welcome to our mobile council member. Councilman Richard, would you like to offer a comment this evening?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have much. Obviously, as always, thank you to PD, FD, and our first responders.
That's it? All right. Okay. Thank you, sir. Safe travels. Councilman Machunas.
Well, now, I wish Ms. Wood had stayed along, but maybe she's watching at home. So I pride myself on being a good communicator, and evidently that wasn't the case at the last council meeting. I was not attacking any one person in general. It was an example, and it was carefully considered to discuss people that seemed to be on both sides of the aisle. If Christoph thinks I was attacking him in person, I was not. If you do believe that, then I apologize. But my point was that over the last few years, it seems to have gotten to be this mentality that if you're not for me, you're against me, to talk like a country boy. And so if one person's ideas are different than another, then they need to be attacked, whether it be verbally, physically, whatever. And that was my point, and that's why I mentioned things that seem to come from both sides, that I would like everyone to stop. There's no need for the language and the accusations that get thrown around. Words hurt. And that was my point. If I failed at getting that point across, then I failed. But I'm just grow weary of all the people that just attack. I don't have to agree with you, but I'm not going to hate you just for your beliefs. And I'm not going to spout vitriol at you because of it. And I feel like that this world would be a better place if we would all do that. I didn't weaponize the term Tiga Karen. I simply meant, let's all try and be nice with each other. Just because we don't agree doesn't mean we have to spew hate at each other. That's my point. And I can't be any more clear about it now. If I didn't do a good job at it last time, that's where I'm at this time. Just be nice. Just be nice. Along with that, I would also like to express my undying gratitude and support for our first responders. They do a heck of a job. Chief, great job tonight. Appreciate all the time and effort that you put into that. For those out there who have been asking for more transparency, I hope the last two meetings have been that way, and I hope that they will continue to be that way. A lot of time and effort went into the ordinance that we just passed first read. Drew, we'll see you next month, right? So anyway, that's all I got.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Shirley.
Yes, sir. Can't say it enough how much we appreciate our first responders and your leadership, Chief, and the teams that you've assembled. You've got a great group of folks that work under your leadership, and they show it every day. I mean, we put it on social media when someone has the opportunity to get a picture of something cool happening that they do, but where it really happens is when it's not on camera and when it's not posted on social media, all the good things they do in our community. Really appreciate it. Talking about the emergency awareness piece of the ordinance that we voted on the first read tonight, Chief Joey, it's interesting that you talk about the coordination of the neighborhood, the community, and other departments that are involved. I couldn't help but think of when my son was home from Germany on a long overdue leave. A lot of his friends got together over a house for a send-off, and if that happens again next year, I can assure you I'll be in touch with you, because you probably heard our street was pretty clogged. And we had an officer come to our house to try and get us to move some cars. She couldn't have been kinder or nicer in the process. I'd have been pretty ticked if I was her. But she did a great job helping me move some vehicles and make it happen. But we'll coordinate it better next time. I appreciate all they do. Heather and anybody else that was here that asked about the deer, just so you have an update from us, because we do want to be transparent about this. We haven't made any decision to move forward with anything on deer remediation or culling the herd or anything like that. We haven't made a decision intentionally, because we did put the no feed ordinance in place, and the no feed ordinance is starting to take some legs, and we're seeing some impact from that on some migration, and we're very happy to see that, and we'd like to continue to watch that and monitor it and do a couple of more deer population studies this year and see how big of an impact that has had on the population and the property destruction that we've been seeing for the last several years. So if you'll be patient with us, we're going to be patient with the process and allow that to continue to, for us to see that through, and we'll certainly keep you posted if we consider anything different than that in the future. All right, so the deer and anyone concerned about the well-being of the deer have a reprieve at least until the fall. So, because we'll be doing probably a study in the spring and another study in the fall, and hopefully we don't have to do anything more than what's being done now. So just so you know what's going on with that. Drew, as usual, always great to see you. No news is good news, right, at this point? So we'll all sit tight and hope nothing more drastic changes over there. Glad for all the work that was done by staff and our police department and leadership on those 4 vehicles. Echo what Tom said, really glad to see us make a purchase that doesn't impact taxes to the citizens. We are using that from reserve funds, and we're also getting money back from the sale of those other vehicles. Super smart business decision in my mind, and I'm honored to stand behind it with you guys. Everyone have a great rest of your January, and stay safe out there.
Thank you, sir. Mayor Pro Tem Heisen, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be short. First, I just want to reiterate what Charlie said to the staff that worked on Christmas. Boy, I stopped up here, and it was a mess, and they were in here working their butts off, and just on Christmas Day, So thank you so much to those members of staff, as well as the members that were at the PD earlier in the morning cleaning up that mess. Thank you to all those staff members, and Charlie, you too. You were here for a long time on Christmas, and we really appreciate it for your leadership. The fire, police, as always, thank you so much. Appreciate you being here, and everything you guys do. And the residents that came out and spoke tonight, only a handful, but I really appreciate it when you do come out. We like hearing from you. It's weird sitting here and not responding. It's not that we don't want to respond. It's just that's not the way public comments work. So, but thanks for coming out and sharing your concerns with us. And that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. And that leaves me. Folks, I hope everyone had a safe and very pleasurable holiday. I know that I myself got everything I wanted for Christmas when my kids were at home, so that was great. I had one. We got an opportunity to marry one of my daughters off, so that was a great experience on the weekend before Christmas. Note to anyone that wants to do that, don't. It's very hectic, to say the least. They're never off the payroll. Yeah, no worries. Would like to commend the entire city of TK. We have done a fantastic job. We got some news that we the trash and the recycle program is doing an excellent job of not having any rejected loads. So with that, we are recycling 100% of our waste that we recycle, and I would like to commend the city for doing that and the folks of the city for doing that. So thank you very much. We appreciate that. Let's continue the good work, folks. Keep up the recycling efforts, and maybe we can one little city at a time can make a difference on the planet. As always, Chief, great job. Appreciate all the help. Chief Hasty, appreciate all the help. Great job. I'm glad the knee is getting better. So just continue to take it easy, would you? Charlie, hats off to you. Christmas morning got that call, and you were right on it. And everybody from the city that came out did a fantastic job. So just bear with us, folks. We are getting everything back into full swing, and we'll be ready to host events and everything here pretty soon with a great new interior of the Glendon Center. So just keep a little patience, and just want to make everybody aware that right now the elevator is down. It will be down for a while. So if you are in need of an ADA ramp, we'll have to go through the Shore Club, through the veranda, and come on the back side of the building to access the top. So if you have any questions, please feel free to call me or call city staff, and we'll be more than happy to walk you through it. Just want to keep everybody safe and make sure that everybody has a means of ingress and egress throughout the building. So, as again, guys, our first responders did a great job. Councilman, I appreciate you guys being here this evening, and ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you being here as well. It is always a welcome sight, and welcome to have everybody to lend an opinion to us so that we have some direction to go to, and really appreciate that. So with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, folks.